Test. Okay, there we go. Test. Okay. I don't know why my headphones disconnected, or my mic disconnected. Let me check something real quick, make sure that it's properly... this would be in properties? No. Advanced audio properties. Yep. Okay, perfect. That's correct. Okay. So... that's working on Twitch, and let's check YouTube real quick. Ooh, a new trailer I want to check out. Alright, create, go live. Let's see. Alright, okay. Sounds good. Let me pop up the chats, and then we can get started. 1, 2, and 3. And then let's go ahead and slot these in. Okay, so last time we spoke, I had swapped from using a traditional chess engine to some kind of heuristic system that then would like basically do an action and then back up once it had done an action to validate how good that action was. So kind of like a depth of 1 search engine, basically. And then I realized that that's fucking stupid. And it had a really big issue, which I hadn't really thought through yet, and then when I started writing it, I started running into the issue. And the issue is, let me pull up let me make a new tab on our overlay, and then we'll turn off this one. Okay. So the real issue is basically, chess only works in... oh, I should zoom in so that you don't get this weird white border effect. There we go. Chess only works in pure information systems, because what I realize that's going to happen is, let's imagine that we have an enemy. Let's imagine that they're going to check through all, 10 world states, and then let's imagine that they're going to evaluate how good that world state is for them when they're done. Okay. Now let's imagine that the scenario is that the enemy is looking for the player. That's what they're trying to find, is the player. Well, now the issue is that if they end up seeing a world state where they turned right as opposed to turning left, and they found the player, well, they'll prefer that world state. So it'll basically have like precog for 1 turn. Which might work for some enemies. That could be a cool thing I maybe enable for a few. But for for every enemy in every decision, that's going to get really brutal for a stealth game. Or a game with stealth mechanics. So this whole idea just does not work for the standard enemy. There's just too much unknown knowns that become... too much known unknowns that become known knowns. I don't know. Whatever the fuck. You know what I mean. So, then I started trying to imagine, okay, what if we did a state machine? What if we did X other thing? And so I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to start copying whatever AI I come across. So I thought about doing this state machine, like a basic state machine. So I wrote out, like, okay, we have a vampire spawn. What would they want to do? What would they be able to do? When would they do something? So I thought about doing a state machine. The issue with doing a state machine is that if anything changes, you have to completely rewrite everything. And that's really fucking annoying. So, I was looking at other ones. Then I looked at one called GOAP, or Goal-Oriented Action Planning. But the issue with GOAP is that, that was a terrible P. I've been trying to practice my penmanship, so let me write that better. There we go. The problem with GOAP is that there's nothing really truly wrong with it, but I then found out about another one that had been done a little bit later called a utility AI, and I really liked that one because that one felt more intuitive, I think, and also one of the weaknesses of the GOAT model that I saw that I feel like is definitely going to happen in this game is that essentially with a GOAT model, you have it's like an A star where you have like a grid, except the end goal of like world state is here, and then you like search through actions to get you there, which one's true, which one's not, and then you formulate a plan. And you're like, okay, cool, this is our plan. Well, the issue is that the second that that plan becomes invalid or flags trigger that mean that you should do a different plan, you have to start all over again and completely reevaluate all that math. And that's a bit much. And you kind of just have to throw away like good chunks of work. And I would like to not do that, especially because we're basically pre-planning a lot of these AI stuff, and I would rather have the time sink be less of an issue. I kind of want that back and forth to feel really, really solid. So the utility AI method, which I'm intrigued to try, is basically we have a how to explain it. Essentially, everything in the game is a weight, or like a value. Essentially, let me real quick. Let me go into tools, or no? Can I go into? Let me go into the paint thing. I want to up the opacity just a little bit so you guys can see that a little bit better. Filters, opacity. Let me just up that to like 0.6. Just up it one notch. Okay, so now if I go here, it's a bit brighter. There we go. All right, let me pop this back. Okay, so basically, instead of doing this, what we're going to do is we're just going to implement what a utility AI is, which is what other people have already talked about doing, and I'm just going to do that. And because I am way too dumb at this, and I don't want this to take too long, and I'd like to like just kind of get the game flowing, and this makes intuitive sense to me, I think. I hope. So basically, the way that you do, let me rewrite this to make sure A, I understand it correctly, and B, so you don't have to read my notes without understanding what's happening. Basically, the idea is that every action is evaluated with weights in mind. Everything's weighted. So instead of having like a rigid state, like I am in sleep mode or eat mode, you basically have values, and then each value is assigned a formula that will dictate how much you care about it at this point in time. So, for example, we could imagine that the eat formula is going to be a let's say like a exponential, actually. Let's do something like this, between 0 and 1, where once you hit, I don't know, let's say 0.4 in terms of how hungry you are, so we'll say that's like hunger divided by max hunger or something. Once you've hit like a certain quota, then you're basically like really weighted. We'll say it has like a 0.6 weight to eat. So what we'll do is we evaluate every action. So then it'll be sleep. Well, sleep is going to be like hours since last sleep. Maybe stamina or energy or something like that is tracked, and then we have some formula for it, whether it's a something like this or that or this. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, we have some formula, and then whenever we want to process it, we basically just check to see what is this value at on our graph in order to figure this out. So they're basically just microscopic little math equations that we've predetermined ahead of time. This is what I want you to be, and then we do it. And then the other really cool thing is you can modify it based upon what you like, the difference in change. So like we could imagine a complicated one might take multiple weights and combine them. So maybe we have like one that's trying to stalk the player might care about what they're going to do, might care about both distance to player as well as like cover spots. And so it's looking for both of those, and it combines that into like a movement weight in some regard, and then we can augment that later, or maybe together with like a can players see me, you know, what I see player. I don't know. There's a whole host of possible, places we could assign this to. The point is merely that we are going to combine these factors and do some quick ratio math, or some quick like a quadrant, or not quadrant, we say float math, percentile math, something like that, and then just spit out a value, and then we just do that thing, and we just have those weights ready ahead of time. And then if we want to like, so I remember originally I was talking about the idea of doing like the moods, right? Like maybe you're angry or you're etc. or whatever. And all I would do for the moods is either I would have a different formula in mind when they swap to that different mood, or I would just have like a weight change that gets modified by the mood that they're in. So you could imagine that like, well, stalking the player might normally come out to like a 0.7 to go one spot as opposed to like a 0.6 to go to another. Okay, wow, that's so cool. But then we could imagine that, if you're in anger mode, the chance to charge ups from 0.3 to, 0.8. I don't know, something like that. So that's basically the idea, is to do something along these lines. I've just been trying to figure out how I'm going to implement it. That's what I've been doing for like the past hour or so. A lot of people said that they used interfaces when doing this. One of the rules that I've written in my coding guidelines for this project is I'm going to try to use no inheritance, because inheritance in the past has always fucked me, and I've always had really bad times implementing inheritance. And I don't want to deal with that. And I also feel like it's a good idea to just try to see what I can do if I don't use it. So instead, the typical way I've been handling inheritance so far is an enum into a switch statement. And I tend to like this the best, especially because our data and our logic are never in the same place, which is quite nice. So with an enum and a switch, the nice thing that we have about this, here's how I'm thinking we store it. I think we make a struct, and we call it like, it's gonna be like decision weight or something. Or maybe just decision, I'm not sure. And it's going to store an enum of the ID, like what type of weight this is for, like a sensory weight, or is this a hold on, I wrote this down in the other thing. Let me see, was it this one? No, this one we just did. Was it this one? Yeah. It was the consideration that I was doing, and then it was the formula was the other thing. So this is basically like our ID of what type of thing this is, and then the other one would be an enum of the formula. So let's say like a logarithmic formula or an exponential formula, etc. And then whatever formula it is, we would have a set of values underneath, like a constant, add, a multiplier, an exponent, a div, whatever it is. We would have these set of values, and then those would just sit underneath this. And so essentially, whenever we would go to make a decision, we would just say, oh, I'm a log thing, and it'll plug it in, and then we'll go, okay, cool. Well, since you're a log thing, you're going to do this one, and then I'm just going to grab these values, plug them into the default formula, so that way I can reuse. Oh, this is a log formula. Oh, that's my squared formula. Oh, that's my linear formula. Whatever it is, I'll just throw those values in, and then this ID up here, that's what I'm going to use to basically track when I should be calculating which thing. So if it's like, we're probably going to have something that's, let me do like an example. If we have a store vampire spawn, and that should be a V, there we go, V spawn. And let's imagine that, I think it'd be interesting if the vampire spawn, the vampire spawn in my head is like a basic-ish, almost elite enemy in that they're pretty fast and they're kind of annoying and they're couldn't be aggressive given the right scenario, and that can be really scary for like a non-combat character. But my idea is also that they're kind of lethargic and they're kind of starved, and so they don't really have the stamina to like maintain a direct fight with the player. So instead, my idea is that they would basically, like, once they figure out the players in the area, that it essentially like stalk the player and look for an opportunity to attack them. That's the whole thing. So you might like constantly be checking behind you for the eyes in the dark to see if there's a vampire spawn following you, and it's not necessarily going to do anything immediately, but it'll eventually creep in and try to get a hit in. So it's kind of like the booze from Super Mario, if it was just a bit slower, a bit lower to the ground, hiding from you, and then like eventually trying to jump scare you, or not jump scare in this case, it'd be like an attack. But basically, that's the idea. And so kind of keep you on your toes. And so I think and then if you chase it, then it'll sort of run away and kind of regroup to prep for the next thing, unless it gets super, super hungry, in which case it'll lash out at you, or it gets cornered or something. So, I think there would be a value, like, can player see me? And then there'd have to be a value of, like, can I see player? And that's going to be pretty big, and then there's going to be another value, which is going to be, like, I'm just trying to imagine the, like, red light, green light game in my head, where we're going to start off with the enemy being aware of the player. So we see the player. That's what starts this chain. So we see the player. Then we're going to try to decide what action to do next. So then we're like, okay, we're going to weight these. The options available are, sneak forward, wait, or run, right? So run is only going to happen if the player gets aggressive with the enemy. So that's going to be like, is a player in combat? Are they approaching me? Can I leave? Those would be the kind of questions I'd want to ask. So, is player in combat would just be a combat stance check. Is the player approaching me? That's going to be a check on what the player did last turn. And then, can I leave? That's basically like, do I have a route that I can actually escape through? So that'd probably be, can I leave is going to be, fuck, sorry. I'm to be honest, I have such a hard time fucking mentally conceptualizing how the AI works. It's just so outside anything I've ever coded that it's fucking with me. Can I leave is going to be, I don't think we'd want to do A star early. So can I leave would have to be like, just a simple, is there a tile? Maybe instead of doing can I leave, maybe can I leave is just replaced with in danger. And that's just like a, it'd be like distance, relative distance and damage or something like that. Damage. So You know, if it's melee, okay, he's close enough that this could be an issue. And then he also can see me. I feel like in this scenario, can the player see me? And like these two, I feel like are going to be doing most of the heavy lifting. I might not even need to do this. I would probably just replace his danger with distance. And just do it that way. Distance to the player. Is the player in combat? What was the player's last turn? Can the player see me? Can I see the player? I feel like those would be the 5 questions I'd ask. And then based on those values is when we make our decision. So, oh, I can see the player can't see me. I'll sneak up on the player. Maybe even have a turn or two of padding where like the player can't immediately turn around and then turn back, and that'll be like enough. Maybe after like a second or 2 or 3, you'll feel comfortable enough doing it. Or maybe you even have to wait for the player to not wait. Like you'll just kind of sit there and wait for them to do something else, to move forward in some way or to do something. Then it'll feel safe enough to creep forward. Something along those lines. And we'd basically kind of wait it, so at some point we'd hit that threshold between waiting and kind of advancing. Prioritizing cover. So I think I would have a wait. And I don't want to say that these are actions, because actions are what they're going to actually do on their turn. I want to call these like plans or sub-plans or strategies or something like that. So we'd have like a wait, and then we'd have like advance. Maybe replace advance with like creep or sneak or something like that. And then we'd have like attack. We'd also have a sense action. These, I think, are going to be universal. So most enemies can all take advantage of this, and it's going to just change a bit how they operate. So wait, that one's super easy. We just don't do anything. We kind of just watch what's happening, or maybe turn a particular direction, or just kind of hang out. Advance/creep, that one's going to be more complicated, but basically we're approaching a particular target that's probably always going to be the player, maybe some source of food, or a thing we want to fight. And then attack is going to be that one's pretty simple. That one's just, you know, what's my best attack right now. Sense is going to be use my senses to find things. So if they have extra senses, then we'll just iterate through those on top of their standard. Having a feed action, I like the idea of. A, because we have a lot of vampires, and so having the ability for them to feed on something is pretty good. But then B, I like the idea of different enemies in the game having different things that they feed on and making that some part of the mechanic. In some way, like a food chain idea. I had a super gross idea earlier today. And it was... I was watching this random video about... What was it? It was about bugs in some way. I'm trying to remember which one it was. But I had the idea of, what if the vampire spawns... This is super fucked up. But what if the vampire spawns can't digest the blood? Like, they're cursed, right? They're cursed vampires, but they're not, like, sentient really anymore. They're just kind of fucked. But it's like, what if they physically are fucked as well? They can't like digest or anything, and so it kind of just like pools, like they have like the bean stomach, or it just fucking pools in like a sack at the bottom or some shit, almost like a mosquito or like a tick or something like that. And that like bosses could just come by, and if they're like, oh, I want blood right now, they just fucking like kill a vampire spawn to just take it from them. Like if the vampire has like blood saved up or something. So I can imagine just like a random like vampire just fucking killing a spawn in order to drink its blood and then throwing it to the wayside. I don't know. It's pretty fucked, but then it would support this idea that we could have like a feed tag. And it's like, okay, as long as you have this tag, then I can feed off of you. So whether that's tag is, you know, blood, so just it contains blood, or living, and then we can make the vampire spawns just like player is what they eat, or rat, or something like that. Some tag like this, and then we could give the boss's tag to include, hey, spawn. You can eat spawn if you want. And so if you get particularly hungry, just fucking kill a spawn. Who cares? So I think that's kind of an idea that I have. So yeah, advance or creep, attack, sense, feed, wait. And basically, this would just be like a set of... I would make these IDs the enum that is stored here. So whenever we go to do a... oh, no, sorry. We wouldn't store this here. We would store this up here. So basically, we would have a set of actions like wait, right? Well, for each enemy, wait is going to have a different set of criteria. If I'm a guard, my wait's going to be different than if I'm this vampire spawn. And so each action like this is going to have a list of conditions, and these will be those conditions. And so that condition will contain an ID. I think the ID is probably going to be a tag of some kind. But I'm not exactly sure. Something. I'm going to have some way to identify them so that A, I know what I'm iterating through when I go to check those, but then also B, so that the enemy knows when it goes to do the algorithm which one it is. Because it won't actually care what the formula is or what it is. They'll just care that it has the relevant tag or that's part of the relevant collection. So I think that's how I'm going to do it. Have like a list of these structs, and then the formula will be the other half of it. And so I think in the archetype, I'm going to store a collection per unit, or per archetype, I should say. A collection of actions, I guess, that are going to contain the list of IDs, like weight, etc. These would be our action IDs. And then the action ID, maybe a hash map of what would be ID to list of conditions. And then each list of conditions would also contain the weight that that particular agent cares about. I might even do a... There was one thing that they were talking about with utility AI in the tutorials I was seeing and in the article or essays that I read called buckets, where buckets were almost like states, but basically they were like groupings of actions that you would evaluate ahead of time. So the example they gave was like, if an enemy is, drinking coffee as an action, but then they have another action which is like, it's like a guard, right? If the guard has an action to like drink coffee versus it has an action to like shoot the enemy. Okay, well, shoot the enemy or drinking coffee should never be considered when you're in combat, right? Like if you get shot at, you should never even like remotely consider doing drink the coffee. And so they're almost like a state system in a way where you would basically like set to 0 or like devalue the bucket, and then you would pick whatever bucket is the best one to do before you, and then iterate through the bucket for the best set. And so I think what I might do is make the moods buckets, where that way each mood could have different sets of actions available to it, different sets of weights, because it would basically be stored as an entirely separate thing. And that way, if I ever want to modify anything, I don't have to like go to each enemy and like directly say, oh, well, I originally said your thing was 3, but I said add 5 whenever you're angry or whatever. I can just like, here's my new collection for anger mode or whatever. And then if an enemy wants to get more complicated, I can just add that new mode to their brain, basically. And then once I get this working, I'm going to make a JSON importer and actually save this shit. And that way, on load, it'll read into those from those files or something, parse that in, and then store those on runtime, so I can only just have to modify the file and I'll be good to go. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm not very confident in it, I'm gonna be honest. Having had to read like architecture this in my head like 4 times, um I don't know if this is gonna go. And I don't know if it's not gonna have issues, and I am a bit dubious of it. But we're gonna try, and we're gonna see how well this goes. And I'm probably gonna have to rewrite it about 2 or 3 times, but that's the idea, basically. Um so let's see how far I can get before I pass the fuck out tonight. So I am tired as shit. Okay. Let's reread this function of what I had for the nth time. Turn system data. I don't think we need turn system data anymore. Map data. Yeah, I want the map. Get total memory. Oh, this is when I was caring about how much memory we were burning. I don't know if there's a good way to check now. So for now, I'm just gonna just get rid of that. And we'll deal with that if it becomes an issue. Okay. So first we get the ID of the current enemy. Then we're going to iterate. We're going to grab their state data. What was state data? It had an awareness level, a mood, and a current action. I think we're still going to say keep these. I think. I'll see. If they're already doing an action, then we just increment it. That's still happening. Archetype is equal to the archetype. Then we need to evaluate the world state. So now instead of doing a point system for the current world state, we just need to... This will need to be a set of flags to compare if our plan is still good to go. So this should just be called like double check plan. Or we'll say, yeah, I like verify plan maybe. And then I don't think that's going to return a byte. I think that's going to return void. Might return bool, actually. Well, current set to return false, so you always have to reevaluate for now. That'll be fine later. If the new eval is greater than chosen eval, okay, we don't want that. Don't want that. Don't want that. Don't want to undo. Wait, why is this a switch statement? Directionality. Oh, that's right. We're going to iterate over the action. Okay, we don't want to iterate over the action, so we're going to get rid of that. Okay. If verify plan... Continue the plan. Otherwise, we're going to what would you, I don't know what you'd call this, calculate weights, or get action utility, which would be for each var action in bsd.value.ro.archetypes dot let's just make this its own struct. We're gonna make a new struct, and we're gonna call this not compatible compile. Action list. Oh no, we have an action archetype. Oh, but no, these need to be separate. So the reason that these need to be separate is if the enemy has a move action, like a basic walk, the basic walk will be utilized for a lot of different shit. It might be utilized when you're angry, or when you're mad, or like when you're trying to sneak up on the person versus when you're not. All these are going to be the same walk. You're just going to like tag them slightly differently. So I don't like the idea of making a separate version of the action with a separate potential wrong set of data every time. It would just be better if you, like, the actions were decoupled from the plan that the actions were involved with. This way, like, let's say that we had the ability for the enemies to attack the terrain, like they could, like, claw a rope to drop a weight. Okay, well, we don't want to make a new action that claws objects in order to enable that. We would just allow them to target the object with their claw attack, and so we'd keep those separate. So action archetype just needs to be the proper set of actions we have available to us. And then this would need to be called, like, utility list, or utilities. And that's going to be a public, first, in the utilities, we're going to have a list of, it's going to be a hash map, unsafe hash map of type public enum utility strategies, and we'll say like weight, we'll say approach, and we'll say attack. So we'll make a enum of utility strategies. Actually, we'll just rename this to strategies. Yeah. Two. Well, I did say I was thinking about bucketing this by emotion. Okay, so that would be motivation. And then we make a new, oh god, there's so many structs. Oh, where the fuck did my... There it goes. I don't know why my cursor disappeared. Public enum conditions. Also, I can see player. Start off simple. And let's make this bytes, just for good measure. We say public conditions. Oh fuck! Is there another one? Oh, it's this one. Public struct condition. Public algorithm. Formula. God, I cannot type. Christ. Okay. And that will be, we'll say linear, exponential, logarithmic. The component's motivation must be convertible to system I equatable in order to use it as a parameter. Hold on, time to do a quick Google. Using an enum as a hash map key, C#. Oh, maybe I just need to say motivation is equal to 0. The type must be convertible to system I equatable to use as a key in unsafe hash map enum C#. You can use as an as an int. kind of curious to see what happens if I do implement this. Yeah, bytes here. I don't know why you're complaining now. Whatever. I'll just say that it's a byte and then just do it that way. If it's just the... Is there anything else that'll be in the utilities other than this? So if not, I might just dump this dictionary in the state data. Oh wait, no, state data is on the local one. I don't want this on the local one. Rename this to utilities. For each for action, an archetypes.utilities. What is the issue here? Oh, bracket ID dot utilities bracket state data, actually I think it was SD dot mood as a byte. So now that should give me a list of oh, sorry. This needs to be an unsafe list of strategies. For now, we'll just get the highest, so we'll just do int index is equal to 0. Actually, we'll say -1 just to make sure that it's not a weird edge case. Then we'll say for each of them, if oh, it isn't a list. Oh, but unsaved lists are ordered in. Hold on. I think it's ordered because I haven't had any issues with it being unordered yet. Maybe if it is, I'll just swap it all out for native arrays, but what was I doing this for? Oh, so I was going to change this for each to a 4. And change this to oh, I don't want this. Don't action archetype. Don't action parameters. Don't execute the action. Why is Veriplay plan turning red? Oh, because I've won too many there. Okay, so inside this bucket, we're going to. I should not have done anything today. My brain is quickly depleting. I can feel it. I was so tired earlier today. I was almost like fucking crashed for like 4 hours to do nothing. I should have done that. Fuck me. Fuck. Okay. We're gonna get like a little bit done, and then I'm gonna pass the fuck out, and I'm gonna come back to this tomorrow. Probably work on this a bit off stream. Oh god. I is equals 0, I is less than count, I plus plus. For each of these, we're going to evaluate the condition of it. So we need to do a sub loop. Okay, for uint, fuck. Say c is equal to 0. C is less than I should cache this. But mood bracket I. So that's the list of strategies, and we want I dot prereqs. Oh, I need to make this an int for indexing. Cringe. Oh, prereqs dot length. And then for each of these, we're going to do evaluate condition points. I think we're going to have to make a separate list of the like total of these and combine them. There might be I know we were talking about the idea of potentially doing more complex condition things, right? So it might have been like this one and this one combined to give their weight, and those combined with this one to give its weight. And then these two combine, and then that combines with this to get that one, and that's like our home one that we actually output as the strategy condition. It might be worth it to have something in here that lets you recursively do this world state like branch tree thing, so that it's not just one flat list. But that is a complication that I don't feel like dealing with right now, so okay, maybe we'll add that at some other point. But we need to evaluate the condition points, average them, or sum them. I feel like we should average them. If any are 0, cancel early. Like these are like conditions that are just too unforgivable for this particular action. That might be a thing. Oh, on the condition, we're also gonna public u short, or maybe just sbyte. Negative 100 to 100 should work for most things. Sbyte constant public sbyte exponents public sbyte multiplier And so those will just be kind of applied on top of that. Well, hold on. I'm wrong on this. It's not going to be a... it's going to be a switch statement, not per formula, but per condition type. So can see player is the formula, and then depending upon that result will dictate our thing. So can see player is just a true false. That one's easy. But then like, you know, current health ratio will be another condition. So that'll be its own part of the switch statement. And so we make a big list of those, and then whenever it goes to it's gonna have to some way take the values from that and then modify it by the algorithm. So each algorithm is going to have to be like a plug and play somewhere that it can just pull out of the ether and plop it into its data. Then we average them. If any are 0, we cancel early maybe. Index the value. Rerun on run per strategy. Grab highest. Perform the chosen action. Then we're going to set the new one and good job, Damas. You're about to infinitely make an enemy go because you didn't DQ it before you peaked. Smooth, or not infinitely, but it'd be like an extra turn for every enemy. Good job. Yeah, I think that's the loop. We just do that for every action. I think the only other thing that, so theoretically this works and it'll be beautiful, okay? Because then we can just, our content or my balancing or my changes will be just tweaking the values or maybe complicating them a bit more, adding a bit more nuance to the calculation, right? Like maybe we change the constants a little or we make some of them less linear, whatever. Stuff like that. But then once that's set up, once this is set up to work, all I'm doing then is I'm just adding in the other algorithms and just changing the JSON out every time for testing, and that should be really nice and simple. And then this works, the JSON's in, the JSON works, I can plug and play shit. And then I think that's it, really. Oh. I will have to, once I choose a strategy, here, the type of strategy it is, weight, approach, attack, etc., there's gonna have to be an output of tags of actions that I'm going to want to take based on that strategy. So the weight will always be the weight action. That's super easy, no problem. That's, that's done, long gone, right? But then if we have like approach is most likely going to do a move that we like in a stealth stance or something, right? So we might have to like have like something that says stealth stance then move, and that'll need to be cached ahead of time as like, oh, that's what we mean when our strategy says to do that. So there'll probably need to be a value of output actions from the planned strategy to the specific unit. Granted, these are already specific to the unit anyways, but the specific unit's actions should be what this says. And then... fuck. I started streaming like, I'm going to be productive tonight. I know I'm not feeling the best, but I'm just going to do it anyways. And now I'm like an hour in, and I'm already fucking exhausted. Oh, I am way too tired. I stayed up way too late last night, and I am just fucking out of it. I need to get my sleep schedule fucking fixed. What time is it? Oh, 11:30. Well, speak of the devil. Okay. My goal is to get back into streaming more. I want to get this shit done. I think I'm overthinking a lot of this. Well, I'm aptly thinking of a lot of this, but then my solutions were kind of just dumb or weren't fully thought through. So I think this is just going to be... I think we're just going to kind of copy this idea, because a lot of games have used this type of AI, get this working. Once this is working, and we get the JSON implementer working, which won't actually be that hard, I don't think, because I've done a few JSON implementers before. Once those two are done, then all that's left, or I shouldn't say all that's left, the next step would be map gen. That'd be the next big hurdle. But I would probably spend a week or two fucking around with the enemies, making that feel really nice. Because I'd probably, well, no, I say map gen. The next thing would be visuals, because we have these visuals. I'll wait for it to reload, but they're a bit bland. And also, oh, I have a bug in here somewhere. What is this? Oh, verify plan should be a bool. There we go. I don't want current eval, so we're just getting rid of that, actually. Okay, reload. Save, go back. Turn system's mad. Oh, because we were going to go to the action system. Yeah, we'll have to fix that on that rerun, or that rework. Utilities. Get the fuck out of here. There. Yeah, we got some Mercenaries, and this is fun. We're mid bullshit, so that's not going to work right now. But the point is that this is our current visuals, and those visuals suck ass. So after we get this working, and the next thing would probably just be making it feel good and getting that refinement down, and that'll probably be a few weeks to a month of just like, hey, we're going to, get some shitty animation set up, and we're going to kind of get the vibe of the game down. I think that's going to be a pretty important step, and that's going to help huge on my viewership. No, it's gonna help kind of explain the game to people, because once somebody sees the vibe of the game I'm going for, it's gonna make the game make way more sense. Because part of the issue right now I have in getting feedback from people is when I say the words survival horror roguelike with turn-based tactics, nobody knows the fuck I'm talking about. That in one ear, out the other. Nobody understands that. That's fine. It's in my head, and we'll get there eventually. But I think the idea is we, once we get the AI working so that we can actually play something, we get it up and running with this, and then we can kind of tinker around with a few different AIs, kind of get that feel down, make sure that my mechanics feel right. And once the mechanics feel more accurate with what I want, however long that takes, then we'll do map gen. Because map gen will be a critical part of this game, which we haven't got to yet, but I don't want to start that until after everything feels right. Because we can do that. I can make a little box arena to fuck around with a few enemies, or like a explicit level, and just write out what those values are going to be ahead of time, way before and do like an importer, way before I even touch doing like true RNG map gen, because I have a whole set of stuff that I want to do with that one. But my pace, I feel like, has slowed down, and I don't like that. So I think this week I'm going to try to make a big push for it, and part of that is going to be getting a consistent sleep schedule. Because fuck me, am I tired a lot lately. But I also had a really bad week of sleep. Last week, man, I was getting like 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, and that just destroys your ability to do anything useful. So I'm probably going to crash, hang out with some friends, and reset, and I'll probably be back Tuesday, because Monday I have to do something. Unless that gets canceled. If that gets canceled, then I'll probably be on tomorrow. Otherwise, it'll be Tuesday. And then I'll be coding throughout the week, whether or not I'm on stream or not. I just need to get this working. And even if the enemies don't turn out as smart as I'd like, I would rather they start off stupid and then kind of build up from there, than fucking deal with all this other shit. Okay, I need this to start working. For my sanity, I need this to start working. So I think that's what we're gonna do. If you're watching, thanks for hanging out. I've been seeing that there have been, even if like my live viewership is only getting like 1 or 2 views, and I appreciate you, whoever you are. I've been seeing that my VODs are getting like 15, 20 views. So hey, thank you guys. Appreciate the love and support. I am going to go to sleep now. So see you guys later.